I want to begin by introducing the YouTube content creators that I will be addressing in this video. Let's start with Fancy, who presents herself as a victim/warrior for justice in the Dan Markel case /OG content creator. But behind the scene, you'll find a pushy, controlling, and angry bitch that instigated a large part of this drama. Hello, Donna. Then you have Katie Cool Lady, whose sister was murdered, and brands herself a murder survivor /victims advocate /mental health something or other. But when the mask slips, oh dear. Let's weld the mask on, because the cool lady is more like a kook lady that makes me want to build a fortress wall. Then you have Society Simp. What can I say about a pink pooty hat wearing, soy drinking, estrogen fueled male feminist? Dude, stop drinking the soy. You've slipped from a simp to a pet gimp for Donna and the kookster. That being said, let's get started. Hola, what's happening? Thank you for being here. I have two very special guests. The host Patty from Patty's Playhouse.
Thank you for having me.
And Allison from Her Father's Alibi.
Hi everyone, I'm happy to be here.
Welcome to my new studio, ladies. I want to begin by addressing the pink elephant in the room. Shout out to Mia Wallace for having me address the issue with the crazy bitches as a pink elephant. I wouldn't want to offend them nutballs. So let's start with you, Patty. When did the conflict or attacks on you begin?
Well, the rudeness towards me began before I actually had a YouTube channel. It started during a Ruth Markel book signing event. I was introduced to Katie, and she literally gave an about face and walked away during the introduction. I knew then something more than sand had crawled up her ass. Then when I started my channel, I felt some hostility by some of the OG content producers, but kept on doing my shtick, which is real estate and comedy. Then things got a little nasty when I began making fun of Wendy Adelson's housekeeping skills and her choice of clothing. For some unknown reason, Wendy's dirty house is off limits according to the internet, but I don't give a rat's ass, so I continued doing my shtick. Then the second wave of attacks came with the Dan Rashbaum bar complaint.
Interesting. I'll circle back and address these attacks on you, Patty. But I first want to get Allison's story. So Allison, I see you are a Yale professor by day and a gangsta at night. So what exactly happened between you and the turds?
Well, I contacted Katie because I felt a connection with her. I also lost my mother at a young age, and just like her, I was raised by a tyrant absentee father. Plus, we both have had a family member murdered, so I thought that she would understand my journey in getting justice for my mother, Nancy Galvani. I didn't know there was trouble behind the scene between content creators, but things got hot after the Donna Adelson trial was delayed and Patty had reported Dan to the bar. Katie began to accuse Patty of trying to copy her.
Me copy her? On purpose? Was she having drinkity drinks when she said that? That bitch is all shades of cray.
She probably was, but it's hard to know because she's always talking some madness. But anyway, one day I saw Patty on a live stream. I went into the chat and said hello to her. A few days later, I received a call from Katie, and she was screaming that I betrayed her by going on Patty's channel. Then I started getting long, nasty grams from Society Simp disparaging Patty. I honestly was stressed because I thought I had ruined the chance of getting the word out about my situation. I apologized to Katie many times, but she did not want to hear it.
You apologized to Katie? For what? Was it an, I'm so sorry for saying hi to Patty, please forgive me, and I will never say hello to her or any other person you dislike apology? Don't get me wrong, I am not shaming you. Given that behind the scenes, these content creators were actively trying to squash Patty, you must have thought you would suffer the same fate.
Yes, I did, and I also felt I was being disloyal to Katie, who had helped to bring attention to my mother's murder. But thanks to my husband and Mia Wallace, who both helped me realize that I wasn't the problem and I had done nothing wrong.
It was ridiculous of the kookster, Fancy, and the rest of the turds to demand or order you to stay away from Patty's channel, or from any channel. If you want to bring attention and justice to the murder of your mother, Nancy Galvani, you need to be a guest on many different channels. I bet if your mother's murder was high profile, the kookster would be out in the San Francisco Bay Area, combing the scene with a metal detector, trying to find the murder weapon. Let me show you the next clip of Ruth Markel. I admire her strength and determination. She is truly a fighter. And for those of you who may not know who she is, her son, Dan Markel, was a Florida State University law professor who was murdered inside of his garage in 2014. Evidence in the case pointed towards the family of his ex-wife, Wendy Allison. As you can see, Ruth has appeared on Court TV, Law and Crime, Mentor Lawyer, Roberta Glass, AA Legal Focus, STS, Women in Crime Podcast, the Wondery Podcast, and Court Authority Podcast, and other YouTube channels that may or may not be on this board. Do you think the trio would dare tell Ruth not to appear on certain channels or podcast because it's a betrayal to their friendship, or because they feel the host of certain channels are disrespectful towards the victim? If the issue is because of disrespect, let me show you the following clip. As you can see, we all need to take a lesson from the trio, who show respect by posting the decapitation scene from the movie Kill Bill and giving the credit to #Justice for Dan Markel for the video. Our next lesson in respect comes from the Cookster. Great friend she is. So will the still grieving mother, Ruth Markel, was giving a presentation and signing copies of her book. The Cookster decided she was going to be rude and unwelcoming to Patty, who at the time did not have a YouTube channel, and was just a guest at Ruth Markel's book signing event.